The Flash TV show has had a multitude of speedsters throughout its 8-year run, all of whom have costumes, and the Flash himself has had nearly a dozen different outfits throughout the show, but only now has he finally gotten the golden boots, completing the costume from the comics. With the debut of this new suit, and many suits that have debuted since the last time I did a video like this, I decided to remake this list with all the new suits, and maybe some old suits that I either missed or my opinion has changed in like the 3 years since I've done this. I'll be doing this in a tier list format, going tier by tier, starting with the F tier all the way up to the S tier. But before I start, I want to thank my patrons, as seen on screen, for supporting me. If you want some cool benefits like early access to videos and the ability to ask me basically anything at any time, then make sure to donate to my Patreon. But if you can't, then make sure to leave a like, share this video, and subscribe. So let's start with the F tier, the worst of the worst, with the bottom being the prototype suit from the pilot episode of The Flash. This is an awful costume that does make Grant look ridiculous, but that's kind of the point. It is a prototype suit with complete function over style. He literally only wore it once to test his speed, and that is it. So I'm not exactly mad that it looks stupid, but it does look stupid, so it's going to be at the bottom of the tier. I am, however, furious of how stupid this next suit looks. The initial Season 5 suit itself is fine, definitely not as good as the Season 4 suit, but I think the lack of lightning on the suit makes it look a little bit boring. It is a little bit more streamlined, so it isn't really that much worse, the suit itself. The problem lies with the awful helmet. The helmet slash cowl looks insanely low quality. It has a really weird design. The lack of a chin strap is kind of weird looking, and they did not really even try to make it fit Grant's head. The fact that this replaced the Season 4 suit is a complete disgrace. The fact that he wore it for so long, only to replace it with a slightly better suit that is also, spoiler alert, in the F tier, it's such a disgrace. Right above the Season 5 suit is the Impulse suit from Smallville, which is the only one from that show, which is literally just a hoodie. I mean, Smallville didn't really try too hard with the costumes. It is a cool looking hoodie, I'm not gonna lie, but it's not exactly a costume, it's just a hoodie. But then there's also, like I said, the Season 5 suit, the updated one with the slightly better helmet. It does fit Grant's head a bit better, but it still doesn't have a chin strap, it still looks super low quality, and while it fits it a bit better, it still doesn't fit all too well. It's such a huge downgrade from Season 4 still. The fact that he had these two suits for the entirety of Season 5 single-handedly makes the season worse because the Flash doesn't look cool, he looks stupid throughout the entire season. So let's move on to the D tier, starting with two suits that are very similar to each other. Iris' suit from when she was a speedster, and XS's suit, which is slightly better just due to having a logo, even though that logo is extremely small and doesn't really change much of the costume. The jacket itself has an okay design, but it's definitely very boring, and the logo is a little bit too small to add anything design-wise. And this thing doesn't really look like something a speedster would wear. It looks very uncomfortable to run with. Most of these suits do look uncomfortable to run with, but this does, I think, a little bit more than most. It's a pretty boring design in the D tier. Another two suits that are very similar to each other that are in the D tier are John Wesley Shipp's two costumes from the 90s show. The regular Flash suit actually does have a cool design, or at least in concept it has a cool design, and with a bit of a modern update it would be a lot higher. In fact, there is a modern update and it is a lot higher. The actual suit from the show, though, kind of looks like cosplay. The tacked on muscle is a bit unnecessary, and it doesn't really look as good as it does later on. The Pollux version, which is the blue version, is a bit much. I mean, the symbol is weird, and the blue it's just too much. The blue is too much. The red definitely looks slightly better, meaning the red suit is slightly higher on the tier list, but both of them are in the D tier, and both of them are right next to each other, and I'm glad that it got that modern update because it works really well. Finally, for the D tier is the Reverse Flash's prison suit from Season 5. It wasn't really supposed to be a full suit, but the fact that it's like yellow and black, it has a very similar color scheme to his actual costume, and he wore it for most of the season. Plus, at the end, it had that lightning scar. It definitely is supposed to be a sort of prison version of the Reverse Flash's costume, and it doesn't look awful, but it's just really just a jumpsuit. That's really all it is. It doesn't look awful. It does accomplish what it's supposed to, but I don't really see it being any higher than the D tier. It is at the top of the D tier because it doesn't look bad, but I couldn't put it in the C tier. That brings us to the C tier, which are suits that are good, but not great. We start off with the Accelerated Man suit, who we only ever really saw in a cameo, and in terms of like good looks at the costume, we only really got set photos, and that's it. Looking at those set photos though, it is maybe the single most comic accurate suit in the entire Arrowverse. That being said, it is still C tier because while it is incredibly comic accurate, the costume from the comics isn't exactly one of the best costumes there is. It isn't really great. I mean, it's this steampunk style Flash suit, which works well for what it's trying to do, but it's one of the least cool Flash suits from the comics. Still though, the fact that it's so comic accurate and it does accomplish what it's trying to do, I put it in the C tier and not anywhere lower. It does look kind of cool. We followed that up with something similar with the Black Flash suits. They're both very comic accurate, but it's especially the one with the white logo, which again we barely saw. We really only saw in a cameo at the end of season 2, which is extremely comic accurate. I prefer the one with the white logo, but it's one with the black logo that we got more of in Legends of Tomorrow, and it does look cool, it does look creepy, it does look like a Black Flash costume, but it doesn't really look incredible, which is why it's still in the C tier. Rounding up the C tier, we actually have two different Ezra Miller suits, both of which don't manage to get to the B tier, at least based on what I've seen so far. Ezra Miller suits from Justice League is technically probably the highest quality suit on this list. It's probably the most expensive one, but I think they went a little bit overboard with that. It's a bit much. The suit, it's a bit over designed. There's too much like black mixed in. Like there's triangles of black. There's like wires and things. It's metallic. I don't love that for a regular Flash suit. And I think that the suit could have used a lot more yellow and a lot less black, because, I mean, the Flash's color scheme is not red and black, it's red and yellow. I understand that those are personal biases, and technically this is a much more higher quality suit, so if it's higher on your list, I completely understand. But slightly higher than that one is actually Ezra Miller's second suit, which is like the complete opposite. It has no black in there, it's completely red with a bunch of lightning bolts, like maybe too many lightning bolts, but I prefer it over the original suit, even if I think the lack of a yellow belt makes it look a bit unusual. I think it needs that separation line. Plus, the one shot that we got of it, the cowl does look a little bit worse than the last one. It does look a little bit weird. It's such a shame because both of these suits are much more expensive and much higher quality technically than this sea of CW suits. So I don't understand how it's still in the C tier and not anywhere higher. It's a huge shame. But this suit is slightly higher than the first one because I like the design overall a bit more. There is also another suit from the Flash movie of this alternate Flash wearing this Batman suit with a Flash logo on it, kind of like Red Death, but we really only get this really background shot of it, like just the torso, and that's it, and he's not even in focus, so I couldn't put him on the list. But once the Flash movie comes out, I guess I could add it, but you wouldn't know. I'm not going to make a whole new video for that. The B tier is definitely the largest one with the most costumes, so let's go through it a little bit quicker. We start off with the Impulse suit, which is very comic accurate. The red parts and the lightning bolts look great, and I think the silver sides, while look a little bit weird at times, I do understand that it looks very futuristic, which I kind of like. I like that aspect of it, but the goggles look a bit weird, and it's something I wouldn't mind them changing from the comics. Overall, though, I like the suit enough for it to be in the B tier. After that, we have the two suits that are kind of similar to each other, a lot like Iris and XS, which is the Trajectory suit and the Jesse Quick suit, which is the same thing, just the Jesse Quick suit has the lightning logo, which does make it slightly better. I really like this suit. It is like a leather jacket suit, it is like CWE, like very CWE, but I really like the black lightning bolt design plus the yellow lightning bolt with the red. I think it looks pretty cool, making both of these suits the best female speedster suits we've gotten, as I don't think the Jesse Quick suit is really that much better than the Trajectory suit. It's basically the exact same. Following Trajectory and Jesse Quick, we have another two suits which are not exactly similar, but they're kind of for the same character. It's the two Jake Garrick suits, one of whom is for actually Hunter Zolomon. I like these suits kind of equally, even though they're very different. The Hunter Zolomon version is a lot more comic accurate. It has the design from the comics. It looks like it's from the 1940s, and I think they pull that off perfectly. The only problem is that the colors are pretty muted, and the lack of the yellow in the logo makes it a lot worse. If it was a little bit more vibrant with the yellow logo, I think that it would be in the A or even S tier. On the flip side of that, the Earth 3 Jay Garrick suit isn't as well designed or comic accurate, but the colors are so much more vibrant, and I really like the lightning logo, which is an homage to John Wesley Shipp's previous role as the Flash in the 90s with the like really large lightning logo. Overall, I like these two suits a lot. Which one I prefer a little? I think I like the John Wesley Shipp version a little bit more because it is more vibrant. But I think that if you just make the original suit, like the Hunter Solomon version of the suit, slightly more vibrant and fill in the yellow, it will be much better than the Earth 3 version of the suit. Reverse Flash's original suit is a tough one to place for me. The suit itself always looks great, but when the cowl is on without the vibration effect on either Tom Cavanagh or Matt Letcher, it looks a bit awkward. On the other hand though, without the cowl, it always looks good, and with the cowl, it always looks good with the vibration effect, which he almost always has, and that's kind of a cornerstone of the character. At least Season 1 turned it into a cornerstone of the character, but maybe the fact that the suit works so well with that vibration effect, it pulls off what it is trying to do. It makes Thawne look very scary, and it looks good both on Matt Letcher and Tom Cavanagh. With that in mind, I put it firmly in the mid-B tier, and I put the Crisis on Earth X version of the suit, the same suit, slightly higher. It is basically the same thing, but I think that the fact that it doesn't look very good without the vibration effect, I can't really put it any higher. Following Reverse Flash's suit, we have his arch enemy, which are 4 suits that are basically the same as each other, each one being a slight improvement over the last, and a very natural one at that. And those are obviously the Flash's suits, starting with the original Season 1 suit with the original cowl. The suit's colors are very dull compared to later suits and later updates that we would get, but I think it's a perfect Year 1 suit for the Flash, as is the slightly updated suit from the second half of the season with a slightly updated cowl, which is slightly better, but not really that different. Again, it is a perfect Year 1 Flash costume. Honestly though, this one picture from Season 5 convinced me to like this suit more than I did. I don't know why, it looks fantastic in this image, and I don't think there's any denying that. But then Barry got another upgrade in Season 2 with the white logo, making it slightly more comic accurate, and I think effectively breaking up the red monotony of the suit. I mean, it was really just red and only like slight bits of yellow. Now it has the same thing with a bit of white as well. And finally, we have the original Timeline Flash suit, which we never really gotten a great look at, but from what we did see at the end of Season 1, it seems to be the exact same as the Season 2 suit, but with a yellow belt and a brighter red. And just like think of that suit with those two added attributes, I think it would undoubtedly be an improvement over the Season 2 suit, but I can't put it any higher just because we didn't really get a great look at it. It is, I guess, supposed to be the same suit as the one we see in the newspaper, but they don't really look the same. I think that in continuity, the newspaper suit is more like of a concept art that an artist came up with, because the Flash is never really, there's no way that that was a real picture that they took. But regardless of that, I think all these suits are great early Flash suits, with the original Timeline suit being like the ending of that progression. I think the natural progression of these suits was really cool to see. And once they replaced the initial suit, and even though the first replacement was a better one, I think it did kind of mess with that natural progression as they kept changing the overall design of the suit. Sometimes for the worse, sometimes, at least now, for the much better, but I think this initial suit definitely would have really worked well, or it did really work well for what it was, and that natural progression was great to see. And finally, topping off the B tier is Kid Flash, whose costume is better than any of the 4 Flash costumes I went over just now. This is actually a trend for Arrowverse shows, it seems. The sidekick looks cooler than the main hero in the 3rd season. Arsenal looks way cooler than the Arrow in Season 3. Mon-El looks way cooler than Supergirl in Season 3. Batwing might look cooler than Batwoman in Season 3. And Kid Flash looks cooler than the Flash in Season 3. And that brings us to the A tier, which is just a tier full of great costumes, incredible costumes. The only reason they're not in the S tier is because they're not my favorites. The S tier is reserved for my actual favorites, but these are all incredible. And we're starting off with the Dark Flash suit, which is, I think, a great interpretation of the Negative Flash suit from the comics. The minor changes they made to the logo, plus the black eyes, mouth, and creepy-ass fingertips, make a genuinely creepy design that I think looks great on the Season 6 suit, which is going to be higher on the list than this one though. A whole 3 tiers higher than the original, we have John Wesley Shipp's Flash suit from Elseworlds and Crisis on Infinite Earths. I don't really know what it is about the suit, I just like it more and more the more I see it. I love the shade of red, and the material of the suit is so unique for a speedster. It looks so comfortable to be in and to touch. I don't know, the material looks so good. it is arguably one of the best live-action Flash suits we've gotten. Although it's definitely not the best, there are a couple other ones for Barry Allen himself that we haven't gone to yet. I'm including all the Savitar suits as separate. One of them is separate, which is the red one, but there's also the physical one and the CGI one, which is, I think they look so vastly different from each other that I'm gonna include them as two separate slots. The lowest of the three would be the physical blue one, as while it does look great, I mean it is in the A tier, it doesn't look as good as the other two, but it still makes him feel much larger than life and a lot stronger physically than really any other Speedster. It doesn't have that like godlike presence of the CGI suit, but I think it is a very unique and cool looking design. I mean, it's such a huge improvement over the Savitar suit from the comics, and that's also impressive because this means that this is completely original. The show came up with it on their own. I think I just said that I prefer the red suit over the blue suit. That was a couple hours ago. I'm re-recording this part to say that looking at the photos now, I definitely like the blue suit more. In fact, the red Savitar suit I think will have to be bumped down to the B tier, but I'm not going to re-record everything to put it back into B tier. It's in the B tier. Physical Savitar suit is in the A tier. We have not gotten to the CGI one yet. Zoom's suit is perfect for what Zoom was intended to be, super creepy, insanely scary, and even a bit unsettling. This is mostly accomplished through the mask, it gives Zoom these super creepy, tiny little beady eyes and this unsettling mouth, which looks like his mouth was stuck together and is in the process of being pulled apart. I think it's perfect for Zoom. The voice also really helped things. The rest of the suit, other than the mask, isn't exactly what I would call like one of the best suits ever. I mean, it is a cool looking black suit. Black suits are usually cool, but it's not like anything incredible. It's really the mask that bumps it all the way up to the A tier, because the mask is something else. It's so creepy. The next suit on this list might be controversially high, but I really love the Season 8 Reverse Flash suit. When it's being worn by Grant Gustin, I think the suit is perfect. It's a perfect counterpart to the current Flash suit. The full yellow suit with red lines throughout is also straight out of the comics, especially with the red boots, and the material is much higher quality than the original Reverse Flash suit. It doesn't have a zipper, and it isn't a leather jacket. I would put this suit in the S tier, but it doesn't actually look that good on Tom Cavanagh. But at the same time, I don't think people realize it, but like I said earlier, the original Reverse Flash suit doesn't look good on Tom Cavanagh either. In Season 8, when Tom Cavanagh isn't wearing the cowl, the suit looks perfect. I think it looks really good. When he's wearing the cowl, it does look a bit awkward. But like I said, the original suit also, the cowl looked, I think, even more awkward. Just add the vibration effect, and it's an incredible Reverse Flash suit, even on Tom Cavanagh. And who knows, maybe if Matt Letcher wore it, it would be perfect even without the vibration effect. I think it is a great design, and I think people are hating on it like way too much. Godspeed's suit is ripped straight out of the comics. The white and gold combo looks incredible in the comics, and it usually looks incredible on the show. I say usually just because the Season 7 arc had such awful cinematography that even the Godspeed suits didn't look great. The movements of the costume was so weird. But in Season 5 it looked amazing, in Season 6 it looked amazing, even in Season 7, depending on who it's worn by, because it was worn by a lot of people, it still looks pretty great. It's just such a shame that when he finally got his own arc, it looked like it was shot for a Power Rangers show. And finally, for the A tier is the CGI Savitar suit, which looks, I think, still incredible. It looks otherworldly and godly. It makes Savitar seem so much more powerful than any other Speedster, and I think very well handles the fact that he is supposed to be the god of speed. It really makes him feel that way. The blue glow on the unique metallic frame, I think, looks incredible standing still, and even better during running scenes. The godly aspect of it works a lot better. As in general, like I said earlier, it's a huge improvement over Savitar's design from the comics, which is all the more impressive since it isn't based off anything. It's completely original. This suit, I think, is one of the best Speedster suits we've gotten, but it doesn't get to the S tier, because while it's incredible, it isn't one of my favorites. It isn't in my top 3. Starting off the S tier is the Season 4 suit, which I think is perfect. It has that brighter shade of red from the previous suits. It has like the different materials and shades of red throughout the suit, along with the lightning bolt designs and the golden belt, which made it such a huge improvement over the original. And while on the verge of being over-designed, as it does have a lot on it, It doesn't actually get to the point where it is over-designed, so it's kind of perfect. Doesn't have too much, doesn't have too little. It has all these things on it that I think looks so cool, making for such a perfect Flash suit. It's such a shame that we only got it for one season though, because it deserved a lot more. If I had my way, I would have made it the main suit for season 4, 5, and 6, and the suit that we got in season 6 being the suit for season 7, 8, and every season going forward. Speaking of that suit though, that is next. And finally, we have the Season 6 suit, which takes basically all the best elements of all the previous suits and puts it into one. It has the sleek, streamlined aspect of the Season 5 suit, with this suit actually pulling it off without compromising the actual suit and not being like boring like that one was. It also has a chin strap and the first like comfortable looking cowl that the Flash has had. It has the brighter shade of red of Season 4 without being too bright like the Season 5 one, and much like Season 4, it has this yellow lightning bolt design throughout. It is very different from that one. I don't really know which lightning bolt design I prefer, but I think this one looks really, really good as well. Plus, it has the comic accurate wing earpieces instead of the lightning bolts, which altogether make it the perfect Flash suit, and it only really had one thing missing, and that's the gold boots. This brings us to the best actual live-action Flash suit we've ever gotten, the Season 8 suit, which is the exact same as the Season 6 one, with the added addition of the gold boots, which just takes that suit, which is nearly perfect, and makes it perfect. It completes the look from the comics, which I can't really believe they haven't gotten it until this point, but now that they have, I think they completely perfected the Flash design on television. I don't think they'll ever be able to top this on the show. Maybe a higher budget movie can, but so far, I mean, they haven't really, so maybe they never will, or at least not anytime soon. The suit is perfect. It's got the right shade of red, a really cool design, a comfortable looking and good looking cowl, the golden boots, the golden belt as well, and no visible zipper, at least not in the front. I think the zipper is on the back, but I think they could also easily cover that, or just, they never really show his back, so it doesn't really matter. I think this suit is the perfect Flash suit, and it is number 1 on this list, plus the top of the S tier. So this video is getting a bit long, so let's cut it here. Make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe, and comment your list in the comments down below, or at least your top 10 or maybe bottom 10. And if you like this video, make sure to leave a like, share, and subscribe, and bye.